I did it again. We call to order the January regular board meeting for the Solon Community School District. It is the mission of the Solon Community School District to engage every student in opportunities to learn, lead, and grow. Chris, can you call the roll?
I will. Wolf. Here. Rockholz. Here. Alaska.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Coons is absent,
Here.
probably on his way, and our student rep we sent home. Yes.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, so we have, the students that, I have it on there, can you drop it down? High school students holiday service project. We had the, special ed students went to the food pantry and did some donations and some work. And their picture was in their paper and, it was a pretty cool thing. Carol's been doing such a great job with all those kids over there and getting them involved in the community and making sure they're part of our community as well. So we wanted to thank Carol for all that hard work and all that progress she's made with those students.
It really is fun to see Carol out and about with those kids, and they make their rounds to the schools. They come up to central office,
do.
and just in the 4 or 5 years that she's had them, to see their communication grow.
It's amazing.
It's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
District reports, focus on learning, the workplace learning.
Yeah, so, okay, familiar with workplace a little bit, we contract annually, we have an agreement with Kirkwood. And, they, for instance, organize, last year we had 99 freshmen do mock interviews with local business. I think you participated interviewing our kids. They're a big part of our ICAP at the high school, giving kids, exploration and experiences. They also help set up establish partnerships for internships and job shadows. And it, based upon the number of students, our agreement with them costs about $5,000 a year annually to be a partner. We recently had a conversation with Kirkwood, Tipton, and West Branch. So the 4 of us would enter into a sharing agreement where we could get sharing dollars from the state. That would give us one person dedicated to shadows, internships, this workplace learning, give us more focused, dedicated work. This person would be in our building 1 to 2 days a week, working with kids, setting all this stuff up. It would take it off Mike Thompson's place. And how this would work is we would generate through those sharing dollars, we would get an additional $15,000 from the state of Iowa. We in turn, our portion of that employee, that Kirkwood employee, would be $12,000 a year. That extra 3, we would apply towards that $5,000 contract. So we would actually be coming out ahead financially and having our own dedicated person a day or 2 a week to focus on this work. And again, like we saw the huge benefits with our career counselor at the high school, this person would also be a Kirkwood employee and have those connections in Johnson and Cedar County. So that's a direction that we're going to move. You know, with our strategic plan, we've got a future ready pillar. Underneath that pillar, ICAP is a big part of that. One of the indicators that we look at annually is how many of our kids participated in a job shadow or an internship. And I believe last year it was 67 kids participated in the shadow. 27 kids did a full 4-credit internship through this. 99 kids went through the mock interview with our goal, our long-term goal is we'd like to see every student graduate Solon with either a job shadow experience or an internship experience. And so that's what we're striving for. So
With the job shadow, what technically, is it one day or is it a week?
it's a morning or afternoon, three to 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours shadow,
And they could do a number of them,
a
right?
number of them, yeah,
I want to make note, Dan Coons arrived at 5:36.
yeah.
Usually it was about a 60 minutes, by 7 minutes. Yeah. For the internships, I know that you've got the option of, depending on when you do them, different schools do 30 hours, 45 hours, 60 hours, 90 hours. What is Solon at right now? Because the school gets to decide what options students have, so.
I'm trying to.
Are we at
remember.
60?
We might be.
Because this, and then with that, we offer credit with
Yeah.
it. A lot of our kids do it during the summer, summertime, but we do offer it during the school year. Kids, you know, they'll leave at the end of third block or not come until second block or something like that and work it through the semester. Yeah,
How is this technically, Bruce is a internship, right? It's a paid position or is that different?
ours is an apprenticeship.
That's it.
That's
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
And do we know our numbers are 27 this year? Because I know we talked about trying to get them up. So this in theory will help us try to grow that. And we
That's what we anticipate. This
And we
having
just-
this person dedicated just to that task. Yeah.
I know one of my colleagues that does the interview process at Berkeley to help companies figure out whether they want to help that.
Yeah. You remember,
We just underrepresented relative to other schools that we're underrepresented in that process. So.
yeah, and remember, a year ago, we put out an email to all of our Solon families as far as, hey, workplace learning, blah, blah, blah. If you own a business or at your workplace, you know, would like to participate in hosting either job shadowing or internships or something like that, please contact, and I gave them the contact of Kristen, our AEA contact. And she got, what'd she say, 23 or 4 from our community that say, hey, put me on the list. We'd be happy to host a shadow or an internship. So
I think having local ones will make it.
they're always wanting to add local to make it more convenient to our,
Can they? Do the rules allow them to intern with the general wire?
yeah, they would be able to.
True.
And we've had a lot of job shadowing down at Lakeview.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a teacher, whether it's someone who will job shadow an AEA person, looking at speech pathology or OT or PT or something like that down at Lakeview at times. Just easy to slip down for 3 hours, talk to that person, watch what they do. Yeah,
Yeah, I know Kerrigan spent last year with the SLP,
yeah.
the district's SLP from Brentwood, so last year.
So this would increase our cost from $4,000 to $12,000 a year. Is that what you said?
It will overall decrease our cost. Right now, we just pay about $5,000 a year cost to be within workplace learning. And that $5,000 basically
That includes Katie's salary?
no, that's a whole different position.
Oh,
So Katie's separate. She's our college and career transition coordinator. What we're talking about adding is a shared position with Tipton, West Branch through Kirkwood. That will be a workplace learning coordinator,
So just
Totally.
dedicated to that.
just dedicated to the workplace learning, shadows, internships, support our district specific ICAP work that we're doing at the high school. So there might be other things that come up.
which is currently being done by Mike.
Yeah. Mike, right now, if people want to do a job shadow or do an internship, it's Mike's our liaison, Mike's our contact. Thompson. So this would, and then Mike works through Kristen or Susan who are employed by Kirkwood through the workplace learning. What we wanted, what this partnership and consortium will do is we will just get Susan directly to be in our building 1 or 2 days a week. and we'll kind of share her salary with Kirkwood, Tipton, and West Branch. Our portion of her salary will be $12,000, but the state incentivizes district sharing. So we will actually get $15,000 as an incentive from the state. So we'll be $3,000 ahead.
And have an extra position, like 2 days a week.
Yeah,
Yep, yep, if you can work the system. If you understand how to work it, we just understand how to work it and we're gonna take advantage of it. So it's actually in our benefit financially to do it this way, along with our benefit instructionally to do it this way.
it's the fiscal responsibility.
So we're gonna wanna spend our $3,000.
This 12th, I missed that we will get.
Yeah.
Where's the board going?
This will cover, ISP this year.
Right. I guess we have to let Josh talk about, professional development.
I'll be quick.
He does not get the 20 minutes he asked.
I asked half an hour, so.
So we had, Monday, we had professional development, across the district. Each building had its own professional development plan for the day. Lakeview was engaged in the morning with, AEA staff, actually. And talking about strategies and support for students on the autism spectrum. And how and what types of strategies can be utilized with those kids, but honestly, can be universally used with all kids. Teachers, there were some teachers from the last time the AEA came and presented, implemented some of the ideas and presented how they were utilizing those strategies within their classroom to support organization, management, and utilizing visuals with students to help them with transitions or understanding what was coming up next in the classroom. We also had the occupational therapist who talked about movement for students and different ways to get them to move and to interact that way. And then in the afternoon at Lakeview, they had to teach to heal. We had Danielle Tice come back, which we have a longer term relationship with her. And the purpose and focus of that time was to address undercurrents, because as a part of the Teach to Heal model, if your school community is not healthy and having difficult conversations with one another, the undercurrents really has to do with how we talk about kids, how we talk to each other, how we address issues and problem solve within the building. And so that was kind of the first part one of that. And then in February, she's coming back and doing part two, which the title, it's a little odd, change your mind through your mouth. And again, it'll reinforce how do we talk about each other. What's that?
Can I come?
Yeah. So, and then part of that was they had to identify specifically what are the undercurrents. And then what are the action steps that we want to identify as a building to address those? So both Lakeview and SIS were involved with that, but separate, just because separate cultures, learning community. So they both engage in that undercurrent and both have action steps that they've identified. Then SIS, Teach to Heal, again, undercurrents. Then in the afternoon, they had a focus on continuing their work around their plan on a page with writing conventions, focus on that. And then an opportunity to visit with Dr. Richard Cash, who I think I've talked about before, who's working closely with Carrie Coons, just regarding TAG, but also looking at supporting students who are advanced learners and talking a little bit about that idea of clustering. And what that might look like in organizing classroom spaces. And we had an opportunity to visit with Davis for about an hour or so with Carrie and had good conversations that way and understanding some of the research behind what he's bringing. Middle school, Dr. Cash was here in the morning with middle school. And the title of that was Differentiating Up, but the middle school teachers really engaged in strategies and designing instruction that was differentiated for students. Not necessarily with learning styles, but what he called was learning preferences, and teams were engaged in working together and collaborating around. How do you design a lesson and building, the different learner preferences, within their lesson, and then we also got them a book, the differentiation book that authored by Dr. Cash that we'll be coming back to probably during CLT times and potentially in February. So and then middle school and high school, we're in the midst of a huge overhaul and review of our standards-based grading guidelines and policies and practices. All 612 teachers were involved in the afternoon and really digging much deeper into some of the proposed new ideas, better practices. I believe that will support the direction we're heading with all of our portrait of a graduate work, as well as around our beliefs and future preparedness and all that. So it was really actually a very positive afternoon with 612 teachers. We got a lot of really good feedback that Mike, Zach, and I are digging in tomorrow and kind of defining what some of the additional themes and ideas are, and then then we have a SBG, standards-based grading oversight committee. We'll bring that information back to dig into that, have further conversation to determine what really are our next steps, with the hope that we will have something that we're going to make a change with next fall. And then high school in the morning was engaged in ICAP conference prep, and then portrait of a graduate work that they're really been focusing on. So that's kind of the day in a nutshell. A lot of really good learning, and we've had some really good feedback from teachers and administrators. So positive. It's always a positive day because we're well planned and have specific goals and outcomes that we want.
It was a cold day Monday, and coming off that storm, compliment to our teaching staff. They all made it. And I know there were some emails going out. Hey, my lane is still drifted shut. Can anyone drive by and I'll meet you at the end of the lane, you know, if you can pick me up. So everybody.
And I talked to that teacher. She said she crawled over the drift to get to.
Yeah. And then also a compliment to our principals and our teachers. I spent an hour and a half with Dr. Cash, and he was so complimentary of both their engagement, the conversation. He goes, that's just, I mean, the principal was there for the entire time. That's just, I don't experience that. And it's like, well, that's just kind of our expectation or culture here. And got Josh and I to discussing, we do have a good culture. Of course, you know, we're growing and getting better and improving, but we complement to the culture that we have, a culture of learning that, you know, we're at a point where outsiders see it, that come in, that are engaged with our teachers and our administrators. You know, we're at a point administratively, it's like, hey, we're gonna do this. And our culture is, okay, we'll give it a try. And that's just not, that's rare in our profession, I think. And so, again, compliment to our principals who help establish culture, and the teachers that we have in the buildings that carried out, so.
So next one's February, then are we done for PD for the year?
For the whole day PDs, but then part of our conversation as an administrative team is, okay, we had this day with some initial learning or continued learning, but what's happening between now and February? How are we using our CLT time? How are we setting goals and expectations around that? And then what do we, it's an ongoing conversation. What do we expect to see different as we move forward? So.
How have you engaged students in the standard-based grading committee and revamping of our approach towards that?
We haven't gotten that far yet with the kids in regards to that, but That's definitely something we consider. One thing we've talked about though too is getting an advisory group together. Zach had put together one for the portrait of a graduate work, just to get some feedback from a group of parents. That really, I think we value giving critical feedback. So that's a thought, once we kind of identify some specifics of what we're gonna do, because right now. We've basically taken a look at our current grading guidelines that have been in place for 12 years and trying to revisit and go back to those, and quite honestly, we're kind of blowing them up. Based on what teachers are seeing in the classroom and, you know, talking about what does it really mean to be proficient and what is really appropriate in terms of grading. So there's just a lot of conversations. There's some discussion around what does grading really look at, like at the middle school? Do we need a letter grade, or can we really focus on levels of understanding for kids? Because our focus is learning. What's the learning that we're going to do? Not, hey, what grade are you gonna get on this? But what are you learning and growing from it? So, yeah.
Well, I think that's a culture thing too, even for my kids,
Mhm.
different levels, they wanna know, A, B, you know, B plus, whatever that is. It's a way for them to kind of group themselves a little bit and.
Yeah.
Compare,
Oh, yeah.
so it's kind of breaking down that old school approach on.
Yeah.
A letter grade.
Yeah, because right now, a lot of it is, what I hear and when I engage with teachers is, for the last 6 years has been. Kids just play the grading game, like, how do I get the A? Well, I don't really want to, I'm just gonna wait till I reassess. To really give you my full effort. We don't want that. We want you to give your full effort right away, but we want to teach you. The learning process. How do you learn? How do you grow? Because when you get to college, you need to appreciate the opportunities you have for learning and growing. And not just focus on necessarily grades, but. It's a battle, but
Yeah, I think as parents too, that's how we grade how our kids are doing,
Yeah.
and it's kind of contagious,
Yeah.
right?
it is.
It's hard to break away from that.
And I've talked to them over the years and they're smart,
Mhm,
right? And it's a late game. They got back late.
mhm,
There's an assignment. Am I gonna stay up till
Whatever.
whatever and do it, or am I just gonna be like, I'll reassess?
Yep.
And that,
I was gonna say, that isn't one of the questions. The question is, I've got a late game on Tuesday night, am I gonna spend time on stuff over the weekend?
yeah, for sure.
Versus or hang out.
Yeah, but I mean,
with
yeah.
my buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's just like teaching them how to see the future before it's right here.
Right.
And like, all right, I'm gonna be late, that we're going to Western View, that's gonna be a late trip or.
Yeah.
Well, in life, you don't get a lot of
No,
reassessments, so.
no, and you also need to plan ahead,
Mhm.
right? The test is coming this day or my paper's due this day and.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the things that are good about it are engagement and making sure people understand the standards before they move on. I think the bad parts are the ones we're talking about here. How they don't necessarily translate into the other thing that the 21st century skills.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Those are the skills that make you employable and,
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff, so.
Board 3 updates. Budget and finance. Yep. We're waiting to see what the legislature comes back with on appropriations. I did listen to the ISFIS webinar today, well. Yelling at my computer for other things, and they said they're advising most districts to take a wait and see approach on finalizing anything on unions in terms of negotiation, because no one knows where the legislature is going to land on a proposal to change the starting salaries. And so that'll have a big impact on our salary schedule, as it will with most districts around the state. So we'll see how that plays out for the next couple weeks. Anything from other committees?
Anything like buildings.
Actually, since we last met, I took a tour of Lakeview. I have data down there with Polly, never even talked to you yet about that. It was great experience as always when you're going to observe. What stood out to me most was the early education center. So where back when my kids were at Lakeview, it was kindergarten room, but now it is all preschool. And it's kind of nice that they're back there, but yet not really, because I think there's one class. Because it's just the growth, and so, just heads up for the facilities committee, we have to be thinking about spaces for that. Group of kiddos as Solon grows, is that preschool. And early childhood, and what they need is quite different than obviously some of the other needs, so that stood out to me. Love the dedicated space we have for behavioral stepaways when kids self-identify that they need help. Or they need their own space, that room is really evolving, it's great, I was able to also witness some reading recovery lesson, with an individual student that. Just saw her growth chart, and that just really, sealed the deal for me for all of the wonderful work that the team does there, so. Polyrhythm type shift, it's great that, was able to see that.
Well, I think the advantage pulling third grade out, you know, and then having this remodel is gonna give us that opportunity to. And do some of those things and. Yeah, it'll be fun.
I will just remember for those of us who've been on the board a while, the expansion we did to Lakeview in 2008 was supposed to take us to between 2023 and 2028 without any needs to move anybody from K through 5 out of that building. So we'll see how well that worked out. Consent agenda. Anything need to get pulled out? If not, all the the motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
By Alaska.
Second.
Second by Wolf, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Action items. 2025-26 calendar, it looks like, we talked about holding off on this, but it looks like that date falls on the. If they change the law, it's not gonna change when we can start anyway, because the 23rd is, for that year is a Friday, so we'd be safe one way or the other with the state. If the state changes stuff with the fair, right?
If they change the law, if there's a bill.
Yep.
And if the bill would pass, it would be the first Tuesday following the last day of the fair, so. This calendar has to start on Friday, the 23rd, we could actually back up.
Monday the 25th.
No,
No.
The
20.
fair would end.
The fair would end on
19th.
Sunday, the 19th, and we could
20.
start on the 21st.
Calendar, how's it started? Let's read that.
I'm gonna click on it,
First day of school,
to the bottom,
25th,
go,
25th,
On a Friday,
go up,
Monday,
go up.
on a Monday.
Monday the 25th
Wait.
is close calendar.
Oh, go down. Sorry, go down, go down, go down. You got-
Oh, because the 23rd is on a Saturday. Okay, yeah, so if the law
V111.
changes, I believe
Go up.
the last day of the fair is the
Right, good.
17th, so we can start on the
No,
19th.
right, one number down, there you go, right there.
And is that the plan to move it up?
Yeah.
I mean,
Makes sense, I mean, it's getting later and later, you
Yeah.
know, those odd days.
the other thing is that there's the weight of the semester daylights, is a little off, and the more we can get in the
Push it.
fall.
Yes,
the more-
yeah.
Mhm.
So with that said, here's our proposed calendar. If nothing changes in the law, this is our calendar. If this bill that's been put forward is adopted, then we'll come back to you with the calendar and ask for a revision to where we would start on the 19th.
And we'd also revise next year's, because we said we'd have to do a
Correct.
public hearing for that one anyway, so we could just double up.
Doing both, yes,
And then we just minus days off the back end.
correct.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
shift everything to
And
all,
then,
you know.
the only question I had, if we went forward with this one, we've had talk in the past about full week starts for Lakeview and the younger kids. Some years we started off with a half day if we were starting on a Monday. I noticed we're starting on with a full day versus a half day. Rationale on that.
Routine.
I'm just asking, I know,
Well, I mean, you're gonna have a half day on Thursday anyway, right?
And I could be misremembering, so help. I thought Jody was pretty adamant about this half day. I don't know how, I mean, I don't
didn't do-
disagree.
We didn't do it very often, maybe a couple times,
Yeah,
we've
I
only
just
started
don't,
on a Monday.
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
and so that would be, I mean, there's
Did we do-
whatever.
Did we do it
The elementary
2 years
school
ago?
staff things,
ago, I think.
you know, and the administrator that we heard from is no longer here, so maybe they feel differently, I don't know.
That was my only question, it's like. This, last couple times when we started on a Monday, we've done a half day, that's why I was asking, is it
Mhm.
the argument it makes a long week for,
That's a long week and for teachers and kids. They're not gonna be happy.
So if it stays as is, could we just amend it right here and say half day on Monday?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 school calendar, with a slight correction to start that Monday, or to finish the day, we'll just go a half day, so a 2 hour early dismissal. Okay.
what's by Leska?
Second.
Second by roll calls. All in favor of approving the calendar as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So that's an early out day, not
Yeah,
a,
Monday.
okay.
Yep.
And notice we do have a different look.
I like that.
I do too.
Sean did that for us.
I think it's a lot,
Yes,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, even I can understand.
Yeah.
All those other colors.
Next up, we need to authorize the issuance of bonds. So I need somebody to read those.
It's-
We all know what we have to do, but somebody has to read those exact words off the screen.
yes, correct,
And then we have a roll call vote.
yes.
And I can't,
Motion,
yep. We did motion to approve the resolution, yeah.
I would make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the insurance
Mhm.
issuance of not to exceed 22,030,000 general obligation school bond and levying a tax for the payment thereof.
Second.
Motion by roll call, second by Coons. Any discussion? This is the second of 3 or 4, depending on how the
Mhm.
bond market goes.
Yep, Wolf,
Yes.
Rockholz,
Yes.
Coons,
Yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
thank you.
Next up, we've got the first reading of the board policies. No one really knows, I meant to message you earlier, saying it's just, there's a typo in.
Yeah.
200.4, there's an I in the
Yeah.
front of the word the,
Yeah.
so I
Oh,
caught
okay.
that last night and I meant to text you today to get it
Okay.
corrected and I forgot about it.
In which one, the 200?
200.4.
Okay. Got it,
Maybe about to start the prior version, must have started with the word can or something like that.
probably.
So. Any from the policy committee? Or the.
No, I mean-
finance Committee?
Associate superintendent? Like, why the change in language?
For what?
Like, it's, like, that's the biggest change in, like,
Any of it, yeah.
yeah. Like, it says the associate, what one is that?
I think
Just Josh,
it's something to change in titles that we've had on the time. The policy governing plan. We don't have, when people's titles change, we don't update the policies to reflect that, and so this is the opportunity to do that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just- we probably should be more proactive and have a
Mhm.
tag in there for. One that
Mhm.
So who is the associate superintendent? You, okay, so you have a different.
I'm associated with him.
You sure you want us to approve that?
Read the first 3 letters and then,
Oh, boy, you don't real out here. Loose cannon.
motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Cruz with the type of, with the correction to the typographical.
yep,
Second.
Second by Wolf. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, we have purchased 2 water heaters for the high school boiler replacement.
That was a last minute that just came up.
Okay, so that wasn't pre-planned.
No.
Yep, and so this is out of tempo,
Yes,
and so the winning bid is 25,000, or is this a no bid?
this is a, not
Quotes.
bid, but quotes, quotes.
So
This was the lowest quote
Lowest quote?
and, pipe rope.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this is just for my own information. What did we changed this number for you to have to get bids recently? What did we change it to?
from 15 to 25,
To 25.
let's raise it up to 25.
Had
Or
it
we can just
been
take-
24, you knew that to bring it up. Is that right?
Correct. Correct.
Just making sure.
Yep,
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 water heater purchase for the high school boiler replacement, Pipe Pro 25,851.57.
Second.
Motion by Alaska, second by Cruz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. In the interest of time, the planning guide, I believe, is passed like this.
It is,
And so this is not something we approved. It's informational.
yes, and I think December. I can resend it to January 3rd. January 3rd, I sent an email that just explained some changes too, with, and attached some videos. Um,
I think it was helpful. I think. Obviously, this is something that falls on the administration. I think we've got comments or feedback, similar to what we do with some of the handbooks. Get the guidance or your comments or thoughts to Davis and Josh to feed back down the building.
Cassie, I've got yours, yeah.
I have not had a chance to send mine. I got a couple things and I'll try to get those out to you this week.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw though, but with industrial tech.
Yeah.
We're adding advanced construction material processing. We're adding construction technology course, which, JJ said will, you know, gauge the pulse of the community, but that might be where, more so where the kids are building either storage sheds, chicken coops, just kind of whatever the need or kind of the want around the community. And then we're doing intro to welding, where they'll teach arc, stick and various things. And we've got a number of welders through, Perkins from another school district. So
Is there not?
Don't say that again, remember,
we've got, 6 to 8 welders that we
Oh,
got,
actual.
3 actual welders that we got from another school district through the Perkins grant.
nice.
And so we are working on moving, these courses back to our original shop, industrial tech building. We're gonna bring that back to life. Brian's aware of it. JJ and Brian have walked through it. And, the plan right now is we have 2 shorter handicap buses that will, 26 kids. We're gonna license JJ and he'll just shuttle kids back and forth on that shorter bus. So. And that'll give us a couple years in that building. And then we can decide as a district, what's our long-term plan as far as our facility. Yes, yes.
Board learning. So relatively short one, so I think I can probably tackle this. I know some board members have some conflicts tonight, so if they have to,
It's okay. Don't.
if they have to depart, it's perfectly
okay.
fine.
It- Reed is wrestling. I got a text, he's only got 1 match, so I'll.
Okay.
We don't have to miss it, so don't feel like you have to.
No, yeah.
If I leave now, I won't miss it.
Oh,
I just want to say it.
being a father of having kids leave goes like that. So,
I know.
Okay,
Josh is a good reader. He could read.
Josh, you want to lead us through this? This is the one where you want to, this is another one where you know all the right answers and we're not.
No.
Just hit the arrow at the bottom again.
History is like one of the all-time board meetings.
Mhm.
Jim and I were, nobody was giving right answers.
Yes, I had to speak up, you know, being a
Correct us repeatedly.
new member of the, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, keep going through, keep going.
keep going.
There we go.
When you,
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
This
Yep,
one reads out loud too.
yep.
Okay. Doesn't get connected to the speakers.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Really?
Sorry. So the right to privacy means that personal information is protected from public scrutiny. This does not include information about job performance. True or false?
Mhm.
The answer is it depends.
That's a trick question.
There should be another thing that says. hey.
Well, and I think that's because of the, just recently, you know, the new law that was passed as far as the transparency of BOE and licensing and all that stuff. So if someone was terminated, that's.
it is.
Separation, made
Yeah.
public.
Yeah,
So, question. Terminated versus voluntarily, like, we've had some of those sort of situations where.
the definition of, if I come to you and say, hey, listen, you've got two choices. You can just voluntarily resign or you're gonna be terminated. That's the same as termination.
Okay.
You no longer have that option. So the state, yeah, because
So
there,
that would show up,
yes,
okay,
So it would have to be reported to the state.
it would have to be reported, yeah.
okay, that's the, all I wanted to.
Yep.
Thank you.
But if somebody were to leave and then you would open an investigation weeks later because they got reported after the fact, then that's a. That changes the circumstance.
It does.
Okay,
True or false? The board approves all contracts with employees.
Yeah.
yes and no,
I was gonna say depends as well.
because not with customers.
Correct. It depends.
But it depends on who calls. Right?
Yes.
So stop,
So-
does it depend?
The board can give me authority to approve like teacher associate
Yeah.
contracts, not teacher contracts.
And we talked about
Yeah.
this when we went through that policy, because. Some districts have long had that delegation, Solon has not, and. There's a, people value the fact that. They're treated. Similarly, so the teachers get contracts with the board, associates, so having that, so other than the PASP, everything's for approval. And so we left with that when we changed, we went through the policy, but.
Which I believe most districts are like we are. Everything goes to the board.
Just
Yeah.
because some did take it and the state allowed them, but most of us kept it. I think bigger districts, it's probably the other way around, which is. They just need to be more involved.
Yeah,
Number 3,
it depends.
If an employee such as a substitute teacher does not have a formal contract with the district, board can see any records that are kept about that employee's work in the
this is
district.
where false.
Oh, true. Well, depends.
Yeah. See.
And survey says. False. Because confidential information regarding the individual would still be confidential regardless of whether the individual has a formal contract with those districts or not.
So would this apply like the volunteer coaches? Who have, you have a relationship with them. Who can their background checks, but they don't have a factual.
I would think so.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, they're working for us under a
Yeah.
volunteer basis, but. Okay, ready? Board may seek blank copies of the evaluation instruments that are used by professional evaluators in the district.
Yeah,
There's no.
let's see what. That's good.
True. You can see the actual instrument, but you cannot see any completed evaluation. Except for dates. That's the only one.
Could we have it changed? That instrument?
We can ask the superintendent to do whatever we would like. Right. He's free to tell us no.
Okay, I didn't know.
But if he's smart.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, sure.
What line?
Yeah. That word.
Yeah, 'cause we went through this a little bit with, when we talked to Casey about how. We had feedback about some initiatives or the similar process for the activity sponsors rather than just for the coaches itself.
Yeah.
We've done that in the past.
So upon request, a board member should have access to the completed evaluation of a building principal.
False.
False. Best practice would say that a board member should not have access to completed evaluations other than that of the superintendent. There are legal reasons why information comes to the whole board as part of a statutory process, and advanced knowledge of certain information may jeopardize those processes. Scenario, ready?
Yep.
Yeah, this one, I think it actually reads on.
Greenfield board member for 12 years. The first 10 years of her tenure, Sam sympathetic with superintendent. Carrie always felt like Sam would listen to her and help her understand what was really happening in the district. It was common for him to tell her, "No, this is in strictest confidence, but here's what is actually going on."
Sounds like saying.
For the last 2 years, the new superintendent, Larry Lawful, has not seemed to value her suggestions and need to know nearly as much as Sam did. Carrie just saw the agenda for next Monday night's board meeting. The board will be receiving and voting on accepting teacher Tamara Terrific's mid-year resignation. This is a tragedy in Carrie's eyes. Tamara has been a great teacher and is much loved in the district. One of Carrie's sources of information told her the resignation is based on Tamara simply not agreeing with the evaluation suggestions of the brand new and much younger middle school principal Cal Cutting Edge. Another teacher came to Carrie and said, "We are losing Tamara because Cal's just so unyielding. If you try to suggest doing things the old way, he's downright insulting. He says things like, 'It's the new world, get used to it.' He's borderline abusive. He told Tamara to quit complaining and stay out of his office, that he had better things to do than listen to her old-fashioned ideas." Carrie went to Superintendent Larry immediately after she saw the agenda. "Larry, I can't vote in favor of that resignation unless you give me a good reason to do so," she stated emphatically. "Tell me what has motivated this resignation. We can't lose one of our best teachers, and I'm afraid she's going to be the leader of a parade." "There are some special circumstances that led to this resignation, and I'm recommending the board accept the resignation," Larry explained. "But I am not at liberty to discuss the circumstances." "Don't ask the board to do something we don't know the reasons for," Carrie protested. "If you don't tell me now, I will not vote for the resignation, and I'll state why. I know I can get the support of at least 2 other board members."
Why is Carrie upset? This is understandable.
He wants to know.
Should not be privy to know.
But she values the teacher, I mean, she values the teacher advice, and so. I mean, I think her being upset, like losing a good teacher, we would all be upset if she's a good teacher. I mean, that's probably why she's upset, but she's also upset because she's not.
So thoughts from ISB. Carrie is used to having inside information. The relatively new superintendent has chosen not to give one board member inside information, and she finds this frustrating. There may be a standing expectation that board members will be in the know about personnel issues based on past experience. That does not make it a good idea. There are times when the board will not know the precise reasons behind personnel recommendations. This is frustrating, but the lack of information may be in the best interest of the board members as well as staff. Why is the superintendent not willing to talk to Carrie about more background?
Well,
It could be for a variety of reasons.
Legal or.
yeah, it could be that it ends up on the board's table,
That's right.
and what we know is really bad.
It could all be medical, right?
Right, for sure.
There could be protected health information, yeah, the spouse is going through cancer treatment or whatever, and they decide to step away, and the board doesn't have a right to know what the rationale for those things are.
James obviously has a personal connection to this teacher. So there's a conflict of interest.
Larry Lawful is being careful to act in accordance with the laws, which assure the privacy of employees, students, and etc. Larry believes his duty is to the district as a whole and to ethical and professional management practices. Is it realistic for the superintendent to expect the board to simply accept the resignation and trust it is the right thing to do? Why or not?
I think with him explaining kind of the previous answer, right, on why, that should help the board a little bit. Come to the conclusion, and there's gotta be a little bit of trust there.
Correct.
Shouldn't say no, there's gotta be
Yeah.
a lot of trust.
And read them down this, or just. The answer is, if you've got a personnel recommendation, if you get to the point where superintendent makes a personnel recommendation. And you don't want to accept it. That speaks more about the relationship between the board and the superintendent than about anything else, so.
That's. Situations like this is where board members are put in a very difficult situation within the community because. The community's understanding of your role. Is not an accurate understanding of your role, and they just don't get that. They think that, well, you're in charge of the district, you guys, you can make this or that, and
Right.
so that's where you're put in a tough situation.
Thoughts from ISB. Tamara may have personal reasons for resigning that Larry can't talk about. There may be outside personal issues in her life right now, difficulties with specific students. Or parents that are making teaching difficult. She does not feel the principal is being fair. If she does not feel he is being appropriately respectful or professional, she has the opportunity to file a grievance. Assistance in this process would be provided by the Teachers Association. It is not a board responsibility to assist Tamara in dealing with any differences she may have with her evaluator unless it reaches the whole board through the established process. There will be times when the superintendent asks the board to respect his or her professional judgment without knowing all of the details.
So the important thing to think about here is that this is a mid-year investigation. This is not a termination. This is, this is the superintendent saying it's in the best interest of the district to let this teacher resign, even though we have a contract with them through the end of the year. So it's a very different thing than if the board is being asked for termination, and then it comes down to what there's appeal process. In this case, it is. I, for whatever reason, have submitted my letter of resignation, and it may be a very simple one, which is I resign effective this date. Superintendent may get a different communication. The board says, I want to be done on date X. And
So just say this came to us, it's early in the year, we have relatively new board members. How do we hash this out? So that other board members understand, do we hash it out here? You understand what I'm saying, like trying to explain, I could see how a new board member may not totally grasp this. Or does this get hashed out outside of this with the board president, or you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, and so I think it's the hope is that they raise the question, which is I've got concerns about this. They
Right.
reach out to the superintendent, reach out to the board president. And at that point, it's the opportunity of council, which is.
Okay. Yeah.
If there's no notice and it's just, if it pops up and, they're reviewing and I've got a major issue with this, it's Thursday and I heard this today and I think this is unfair and they bring it up there, then it's a matter of squashing it at the point here, which is, it's a more public, which is just, right, obviously the board can choose to accept. For us, it would be under the consent agenda, right? And so first step, we would have to pull out completely, so that would be the first opportunity to discuss it. So.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, if community pressure is being applied, board is hearing the other side of the story. There's also almost always multiple sides. Superintendent is ethically bound to protect the privacy of students and staff.
This is where I have good talking points about the board. And especially with one on like Solon, it's always good.
Yeah.
So we can all say the same thing.
So yeah, I'll be on the same page.
What are some potential unintended consequences of Carrie taking action in this situation?
Legal bills,
Yes.
lots of legal bills.
Board has to protect the best interest of the district. If Carrie speaks up in the meeting and accuses the middle school principal of driving out a great teacher, we now have the board expressing negative opinions based on hearsay of an administrator. Superintendent is working with the principal on areas such as providing effective coaching and tactical corrective guidance. That work is jeopardized by the board's knowledge. This is a public meeting, and negative comments which affect professional rights could ultimately subject the board to litigation.
Our whole discussion about, we can't discuss performance of employees of the district as a board unless they request a hearing and we do it in private, so.
If instead of accepting the teacher's resignation, the board expresses what a fine job she is doing, how well she is, liked, and holds her to her contract, then what?
Well, it depends on what the, it depends on what the reason she's leaving is. One of which is that she may just not show up anymore, and then you have to terminate. They may be here and not be effective and kind of different. Sometimes we've had this with some of the people that are released, that ask for late releases this summer, so okay. This is something. If we keep them here, we're gonna have an unhappy staff that will be here for the entire year. And which is better, trying to show that position for a year, or having somebody who doesn't want to be here. You know, it's medical, news. Medically, we might have a
Right.
Legal case against us for not releasing the contract.
So she's expressed her desire to leave. Now she's being held in place where she does not want to stay. Will improve impact, just like you're saying. What kind of precedent will the board be setting by getting involved at this level? Will the board expect to investigate or hear detailed reasons for every resignation that comes before them? This could impact the due process rights of the individual. If the information comes to the board through inappropriate channels, the board might not be considered impartial. Any public discussion of staff performance issues at the board table invites public response. The public will see the board as a direct pathway for personnel questions and decisions. The board will be placed in a position it cannot support. What are some potential unintended consequences that may occur if Carrie gets the information she seeks?
Maybe just listed.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
it
All
opens
those things.
it up to the public, erodes the strength of the board is one.
Superintendent breaks down and relays confidential behind the scenes knowledge to Carrie what might be the result. The superintendent has begun a pattern of action which leads to questionable professional ethics. Depending on the info shared, the superintendent may be violating the law related to protecting confidential information. Also, eventually, the whole board is going to know that Carrie demands information and gets it, whether or not it is appropriate for her to know, and whether or not the rest of the board received the information. No one is pleased by this, including Carrie, especially when her fellow board members' resentment begins to show. There are legal reasons why information comes to the whole board at a particular pre-established time. If individual board members have advanced knowledge, it may jeopardize their ability to be unbiased. Final thoughts. Board needs to recognize the professional integrity of the superintendent in these situations. The superintendent can explain that they are making a recommendation based on their best professional judgment. Individual staff members and students' right to privacy sometimes has to be balanced with the need for transparency. Individual rights almost always prevail. Common sense dictates protection of the rights of staff and students. Board holds the superintendent accountable for acting and making recommendations in the best interest of the students of the district. Superintendent can present information to the board in a variety of ways to show that they are indeed acting in the district's best interest. However, just as student discipline reports include statistics but not personal student information, reports on staff goals and improvement targets will not single out individual staff members. Board policy and contract negotiations and reports from staff at the board table are always in which the board can express support for staff. The board provides structures to support staff, not direct intervention. The only person the board evaluates is the superintendent, and it is important for the whole board to recognize and honor this responsibility.
Repeat this or something.
The best way to handle this situation is not to get to this point, establish and form trust in the system, know the policies and processes, and get regular reports on how they are being followed by staff and respect the process.
There you go. Congratulations.
Good job. Talking points. Adam.
I'll go with, kind of a rundown on professional development, so. Always good to hear who you guys have coming in and, staff being engaged, especially, with the weather, so. Glad it went well and look forward to hearing an update in February.
Service grading, in fact, that we're really looking deep into that and what that means for our students and our teachers and, you know, is that something that we continue or not continue and, you know, really kind of go down that path and I think it's always good to see where you are, where you've been and where you need to go.
Yes.
I have to say something about the fact that you talked about my sister in a positive way. So that is exciting. So setting that aside, though, I was just eager to see the kind of opportunities that our special needs students get.
Jamie.
The additions to the industrial tech are exciting to me, that we're bringing welding and some other classes for the options for kids to work with their hands and learn about some of the trades is really exciting to me, so.
And mine builds off of that and the workplace learning connection, they want to create opportunities to get our students into the spot where they can get some hands-on experience in some of these areas and figure out what they may or may not want to do in life, so. With that, our next regular board meeting is Thursday, February 15th, 2024 at 5:30 in this location. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by roll call. Second by Ruth. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Adjourned.